Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information. All right, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm your host, Billy Goble, and today we have a special guest, former Raider quarterback at South Sumter, and a good friend of mine. Please welcome Mr. Reace Kinley. Reace, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks for having me. You need to put yourself out there for recruiting purposes, which 10 years ago, it wasn't like that. You weren't putting yourself out. It was a whole different situation than it is even today.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences going from, like, just say 25 years ago when I graduated. So with our graduating class, what they wanted to send something out, Matt was talking about how he would have to mail a tape, an actual tape, like VHS tape, to the recruiter or the university. And there was no, hey man, I could do it from my phone, which would have been 10 times. Which
is great.
It's amazing. So technology does play a key part in that. It's also making it kind of hard to figure out, who is committed and who's not. Like you said, are you just there for the likes? What do they say? They always make fun of Colorado. They're like, we're not here for the likes. We're here to play football or whatever they say. We're here to win or whatever. But I know they're just trolling them. But there's a lot to be said about that because
there's so much value.
Absolutely.
Putting yourself out there as often as Colorado does, and monetary value, but it creates a buzz and people talk about you, which is good. That's going to help you in recruiting, stuff like that. And I know that's easy to bring them up, but one thing that I love and I watch all the time is the Ellis boys. I feel like they're kind of ahead of their time in all these, they're getting trained one-on-one, which that's huge. They're doing so much extra, and they've got a platform almost that they're putting together of we're really working this hard, and it creates a buzz behind your name. And if you're not a kid doing that, and you're just if Kale was just showing up at practice, doing practice during football time and no extra, and he's not putting himself out there, do you get attention or offers or anything? It's like you have to. It's a business now. It really is.
It really is.
Yeah.
So kids are having to do pretty much it's almost like they're self-promoting themselves, like before they even get an agent, like like they're just like, hey, this is me, this is what I'm about. But I will tell you this, nothing speaks greater as a form of character than loyalty. So if you have a kid that is saying, like, I'm going here, and then someone comes and counter offers them more money or whatever, and they say no, I think that speaks true volume about your character, like saying, no, look, I'm committed to you.
Absolutely.
And I feel like if that loyalty is shown, and if it's like actually seen by the university, they're going to do everything they can to keep them there. And it's not, that's been going on for a long time. When you were, watch the movie The Blind Side. What they were, they couldn't throw in money, but they were throwing in, like, all right, hey, look,
there was ways.
We'll let you do this or that, or
there was ways around it.
Absolutely. So but what they'll do is they used to compensate for things like, well, if you don't have to worry about, if somebody, you go to a restaurant and they fed you all the time, then you don't need the money to go to a restaurant or to eat anything. Because as a 19-year-old college kid, you're not eating out fancy anyways. You're like, hey man, I'm gonna go to Chick-fil-A or I'm gonna go to McDonald's or some Moe's Grill or whatever. But it's not gonna be like a high end. Like they just want to get it go, get it in and out. So I just felt like the loyalty being shown will speak volume. I mean, I think it'll go further than someone saying, oh yeah, I'm going to go here for this. And if that's I was talking to somebody the other day about, when you go somewhere, do you really know why, like you said earlier, do you know why you're going? Do you have a reason why you're going? Are you going because you want to go?
Yeah.
What is, why are you going?
Yeah.
Are you going because mom and dad want you to go? The community? There were times I knew, there was a friend of mine who joined the military just because he didn't want to let anybody down.
Yeah.
But was nothing against military. My brother and sister, everybody, they all served. But was that what he wanted to do?
Yeah.
Because he's got to do it, not the community.
Yeah. When
you leave, they throw you that party. Oh yeah, good luck. We're so proud of you. And then you get on that bus. The community's not going with you.
And that's a tough thing. I mean, how many guys do we have that go out of state and they're right back home and pretty quickly? And maybe it's there's multiple reasons, and it's tough to do. Yeah. It really is. It's a hard thing to do, and if you don't want to do it, then it's not going to work out, and it is what it is. But if you want to do it, then you're going to make it happen.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I want to transform. We'll slide over to your college side. So having said that, being away from home, and first of all, what made you pick the university you went to?
So I had my eyes set on a couple of schools, obviously, to play basketball. And I really wanted to stay closer to home. One was University of West Florida, and the other one was Florida Southern. So those are two schools that I wanted to go to pretty bad. And, I had conversations with coaches and, was looking at possibly having the opportunity to play at either or getting the opportunity. And funny enough, later, like a day after I signed with Cameron University to play basketball, I got a text from. So I did not have the opportunity to go to West Florida because the head coach went somewhere else, and there was no head coach. There was nobody to really talk to. Well, this coach that was recruiting me up in North Carolina got the head coaching job there and shot me a text while I'm in ag class like, hey, I just got the head coach job at West Florida. Where are you going? And I was like, crap. Like, I just signed to Cameron yesterday, great conference to go play in. That conference, everybody outside of Cameron is all Division I now. So that it was a big Texas, conference, big time Division II conference to go play in. So I was excited about that. And to have the opportunity, coach came here to practice and watch practice, and they offered me. So I was excited, to just have the opportunity. Again, at that time, I always told Dad, I said, look, if I have the opportunity to play Division I X, Division I baseball or football, and I have to go play Division III basketball, that's what I want to do. I want to go play basketball. And that was my favorite sport. Love, the time, all my extra effort, all my extra time put in was on the basketball court. Football wise, I would quite literally play football during football, and, I'll be back next year and I'll pick up a football then. But during football season, I was still playing basketball because that's what I loved and wanted to do. Right. And, had the success in high school, and at the time I was like, this is just what I want to do. I don't care if it's Division III, Division II, whatever that may be. That's what I want to do. Right. So I went to Cameron University in Lawton, Oklahoma, loved it and really liked my time there. And then I just had this weird desire, and I missed playing football, and I did not ever imagine that in a million years. And I was like, dude, I don't know what it is about football. I just miss it. Like strapping up. It's a different feeling. And so I thought obviously a lot about it, and I texted Pap, I texted Zay. I'm like, hey, have a talk with the coaches, see if they're willing to bring me on, even if it's whatever that may be at whatever. And Zay was like, they're like, oh, we'll give you a scholarship right now. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, maybe I'll go play basketball too, at the same school. And so so that kind of put an end to my, it wasn't really a transfer portal back then. It was just, all right, I'm going to go play football here. And that kind of stopped that. I didn't reach out to anybody else. I was more interested in playing football again. And I got to go play with, one of my best friends from high school, Xavier Story. I'm like, come on. I mean,
there's no brainer.
That's what it's all about.
Right.
And we had, a great couple years together.
Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right.
Zay was, awesome there, obviously. We know his story that he, had bigger opportunities and to play at the next level. And after his very gruesome leg injury, those kind of dwindled away little by little. And Lion called him and said, hey, we're starting a program, and he says, do I have to pay for anything at all? And I said, nope, you don't have to pay for your books or nothing. He's like, all right, I'll be there. So,
oh, wow.
So he went up to Lion College, and again, small NAI program. And I was like, man, I get the chance to go play with him again, I'm going to do it. And I didn't end up playing basketball. That's where the injury train started for me. And I ended up playing through, college, but a lot of it was, being injured. And I had a good first year I ended up playing receiver, tearing my ACL. So that kind of pushed off the basketball idea, playing more. And then I tore my shoulder, had to go back for another knee surgery. And I stayed on the team, but I ended up being an all-time long snapper, essentially. So I just want to try to find a way on the field.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to work on long snapping. And that's what I did for the past, the last 2 years I was there. Got some time at receiver, but it wasn't to the magnitude that I had before all the injuries.
Gotcha.
Again, great move. Everything happens for a reason. Ended up meeting my wife there. She played basketball there. So Lion College is a special place in my heart, and I've got some awesome photos of me and Zay doing back bumps and stuff like that on the field, photos together, playing together. So that was, and being roommates. So that time is extremely special, and wouldn't trade it for anything.
Because you said you started in Oklahoma. Where did you say that was?
Lawton, Oklahoma.
Lawton. Where is it? How close is that to Oklahoma City?
So that's a little north. Lawton was a good sized town. Wichita Falls, Texas was probably one of the bigger towns. So Midwestern State is right there. It's a good football program. We didn't have football. Midwestern State had football, so we would always go there for to go out. There was a little bit bigger city, and they had places where live music. So we would go down to Wichita Falls. Me and all my buddies, on the team would make trips down there, and we got to know people over at Midwestern State, their players. So kind of started hanging out down there a lot. So it was a cool area to be in. It was a huge Army base there in Lawton. So we always joked because Matt Todd lived right down the road from me, and I was out in Lawton, and he decided he was going to go into the Army. Well, they ship him out to Lawton, Oklahoma. So 2 kids from Willow Creek are now in Lawton, Oklahoma, the year after high school. That's awesome. Which is pretty cool. So
that is cool.
I got to go see his, whenever he got done with basic, Henry picked me up, and we went over to Matt's thing, and I got to, be a part of all that, him graduating from basic and moving on. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Going from Bushnell to Oklahoma, that's a big transition.
Mm-hmm.
But even furthermore, you're going from Oklahoma to Arkansas.
Yeah.
what was the differences between Oklahoma and Arkansas? They're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But in Arkansas, you were more in it was more the mountains, right?
Yeah, it was more mountainous area.
Because that's northeast.
Northeast, correct.
Yeah.
Northeast of Little Rock. Almost the opposite side of Fayetteville. So Fayetteville is extremely mountainous and beautiful city. Fayetteville Stadium, you come into town, it's one of my coolest things I've ever seen. I didn't expect it to be, as beautiful as it was. You come in from miles out, you're almost overlooking the, Razorback Stadium. So we played on the other side of the state, on the east side. And, in Oklahoma, it was kind of mountainous there too, known for tornadoes. And luckily Lawton wasn't really known for that because we had a couple mountain ranges, and they say that, I don't know how that works, but they hadn't had tornadoes in 30 something years. I don't know. But the biggest change there is, it's snow. It's going to snow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember FaceTiming Dad. Well, we didn't expect it. So we were getting up early. I think it was Thanksgiving break. At that time, you don't go home when you play basketball. You don't go home for breaks. That's right. You're in season.
Right.
So of course, I'm making my FaceTime calls. And I walk downstairs and something like I have on like this, and none of us knew that a snowstorm had came through. So I look outside and I'm on the phone. I'm like, oh, I got to go back and put on some more clothes. Like this is because our dorms are on the opposite side of campus, and all of us would bundle up, and a couple guys had cars, so we would hop in all together, or we'd just make the walk.
Yeah.
And Dad and Stacy are on the beach, and I'm on FaceTime, and I'm like, what are y'all up to? Oh, we're on the beach. And I'm like, look at this. We got 1.5 feet of snow here. And, yeah, blessed. So that was a big transition. And luckily I wasn't playing football in the snow at the time. So I was going to a warm gym. And, that transition, the town was pretty large. And if you know anything about Oklahoma, it's every corner is like there's a casino there's like 6 casinos in Lawton. And we would go there because if you're playing on the machines, you can press a button and they'll bring a cold beverage to you, and it was free. So we would go there with $5 of the penny machine and keep pressing that button. And so bigger town, and transition to Arkansas, smaller, definitely a smaller town. And oddly enough, Batesville reminded me so much of Bushnell.
Really?
And so our coaching staff in college were all local guys who are now they're the coaching staff for the high school. So they actually transitioned back to the high school. They kind of started our program, and they all played there. Some of them even played baseball or whatever that is at Line. So their community is very similar to Bushnell, and their high school program is way cooler than Line College. So their Friday night games are a big deal. And obviously a lot of those guys ended up being teammates with me. And but I get there and we fly into Memphis, and Zay and I fly into Memphis, and Coach picks us up, and we must have drove, I think it's probably 1.5 to 2 hours. Mm-hmm. I didn't see not one store. It was just fields. And I looked at Zay because I didn't really put in much, effort or looking into this area. It wasn't like I was going there for this school necessarily.
Right.
I was like, Zay's there, and that's why I'm going. I looked at Zay and I said, what in the hell you got me into, dude? There's nothing here. And that's how Arkansas is, though.
Yeah.
You have towns. In between these towns, there's literally nothing. It's fields.
Yeah.
And then you get into Batesville, and we're coming into Batesville, and I had not seen much of these anywhere else, but I'm like, there's a Beef O'Brady's. I think we're just in Bushnell, I'm pretty sure this is just Bushnell. There's like a Chinese restaurant. Yep. There's a Beef O'Brady's. There's your regular fast food. Walmart was still the main attraction. Yep. We pull up to Walmart. Coach brings us to Walmart to get some stuff. I still have the photo on my phone, and the line I put on there was "Welcome to Arkansas." It was a larger person he was shaved. bald on the side, and the mullet was down to like his butt.
Oh my god!
And he's got a wife beater on, and I'm like, "Welcome to Arkansas. We're here. Thanks, Zay.
we made it."
Yeah, I appreciate it, Zay. Like, this is where you brought me, dude. And he's awesome. Like, and we had our own fun there.
Yeah,
that college experience was obviously small, but loved every bit of it. I know guys that left because for a bigger experience ended up coming back because they're like, dude, I didn't realize how much fun we were having and how close knit you get with everybody, and you're always together. So that brotherhood or being there was awesome. And I still talk to those guys obviously as well that I played with, and we've got a big group chat and everything else. So Arkansas was a blessing in disguise, but also very unexpected to how much I enjoyed being there.
Whether your water is supplied by a public municipality or a private well, for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors, and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709. Yeah, I mean, it's like you go from a small town to a small town. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you're going to a huge, like you're going from Bushnell to, let's say Atlanta or something like that, to go to Georgia Tech or something like that.
Yep.
It kind of prepared you to, but I think that's cool. The journey that you, how do we get where we are?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you'll always have these stories about like you said, you go to this college first, and then, that's only, I told somebody the other day about the only reason why I like the only reason I like say the transfer portal is okay is if your coach leaves.
Yep.
And that happens quite a bit because
that's a big deal.
People aren't guaranteed a job all the time. And it depends on what direction they're going in. And, you get the, your supporting staff, like at Florida, the Bull Gators, if they decide like, hey, we don't want you anymore, bro, you're gone. But I mean, it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have a big school or a small school. So that's the only reason why, I'm like, okay, the transfer portal is not bad.
Yeah.
If you're not abusing it.
Yeah.
So when you have to go and adjust to someone that, like it happened to Carson. Carson goes out to Colorado, and the coach leaves. He can't help that.
A lot of times, you go for, those guys recruit you. That's ultimately why you chose that school.
Right.
And you create, you start to have a relationship with this coach that is beyond basketball, because they're almost your father figure while you're there.
Right.
You're going into his office with questions, and he's helping you with, stuff not just on the basketball court or football field, whatever that may be. And I kind of attached myself to a couple coaches, and it does suck because at Cameron, that kind of led to that as well. The coach left, new guy was coming in. Not that I wasn't, wasn't against the guy. I just, I didn't have the same relationship, or didn't really enjoy playing for him as much as I did under the previous coach. So, and then I go to line, and same thing. I have 2 years with that staff, the original staff, and still probably one of my favorite staffs that I've ever played with, played under in my entire life. And I'm actually in the fantasy football leagues with that coaching staff. A lot of those guys.
That's cool.
And I'm still close with them. And most of those guys were right there in Batesville, so they never really left. But every time a coach leaves, it's still in the back of your mind. It's like, man, should I try to figure out where he's going, or maybe get closer to home?
Right.
And in those situations, it's not bad, but there's times that it gets abused, especially now.
Well, I think as far as systems go, with like especially like coaching staff, or I mean, shoot, even like if you ran a school and you had your staff and faculty, you know, if it's not unforeseen circumstances like, hey, my wife or husband, my spouse got a new job and we're leaving. Other than that, you know, when unless they're not quitting, you know, and you have to replace somebody. You got to fill that void, but you've got to. It's like that puzzle. You know what I'm saying? So you got like a coaching staff. Like South Sumter's had several coaches come and go, and some didn't work out, and some did. But they got other opportunities, and they would go to other places. But I mean, I get all that. I get that it's like a revolving door. I mean, you're not if we're not promised life, like we're not promised tomorrow, then I don't see how anybody can be promised a job for the next 5 years. You never know what's going to happen.
And it's the same way in work. And I went through that as well, where you might enjoy this program or this game or working for this job so much. And then when your direct boss or whatever leaves, you have a realization like, holy crap, maybe I don't like job that much. I just really enjoy working for this person. And now that they're gone, you're realizing like, man, I don't really enjoy doing this.
Exactly.
It's like the people that you are around and who you work for, or the people that you're surrounded by make whatever it is worth it.
Right.
And maybe you'll be able to put up with more stuff whenever you're around people you enjoy working with, and then vice versa. You got a shorter leash whenever you don't enjoy working for somebody. You're ready to jump ship. True. And that's the same thing in sports and jobs.
Well, and to add on to that, a lot of these kids leave their universities because they're not playing, or they didn't get an opportunity they thought they were going to get. They didn't get what they were promised. And I'm all for somebody getting what they really need, but not what they want. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a big difference. If they promised you money, and you didn't come through, then that's on them. That's not on the kid, because they were just taking advantage of. Yeah. But the whole like, hey, I should be starting right now, goes back to what I said earlier about what's best for the team. It's hard.
I mean, it's a hard situation to be in. Again, that transition we spoke about earlier from middle school to high school to college, it's the same thing. Yep. High school, you feel as if, you're 18, 19 years old. Yeah. You're coming into being bigger, stronger, faster. You're becoming a man. You go to college, you just restarted. Right. As a freshman, you feel the same way you did in the freshman high school locker room. Those seniors are 22, 23 years old, sometimes even older. Some guys have different routes that they got there. They started playing later. I had a 25-year-old in front of me playing receiver who went on to play in the UFL because he made a comeback and caught the first touchdown in XFL history. That guy was in front of me. I'm 21-year-old kid. This dude's 25. Right. And a professional athlete at some small school that he just randomly, it's like, they're going to give me a chance to play. I haven't played in 4 years. I'm going to do it. And there's those guys in that locker room. And I had this conversation with Ty Kader, because he's a freshman at a Division III school and a very good high school player. And he's thinking in his head, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to play right away. It's Division III football. How hard can it be? Not only did he go to a top 15 program, and there's like 130 Division I schools, there's like 250 Division III programs. So if you're in the top 15 out of 250, their roster is probably full of a lot of bounce backs, transfers, and they're a top 15 school with linebackers that are all Americans at the Division III level. And he had that quick realization, like, holy crap, I'm back to where I started. And I had to remind him, you're a freshman again. You're in the same position you were. When you work hard, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. And he got a couple opportunities late in games, has a big hit sack this year, which is fun, but in 2-3 years, you're going to be that All-American. Yep. And I can see it happening. And just stick to it. Don't give up. Yeah. Don't think that the grass is greener somewhere else. You're in a great position. You're in a top 10 academic school that is going to go way beyond playing days. That's probably on the back end of it. That's probably more important than putting on the helmet today. That degree you're going to get, and your time's going to come. You're a freshman again. You're a kid again.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following: Traveling Tom's Coffee Truck, the delicious mobile coffee truck that brings you the caffeination inspiration you need. We deliver signature coffee products like our Nitro Cold Brew and Caramel Frappe to any occasion or festivity. And for those who don't like coffee, we offer a variety of delicious hot chocolates, energy drinks, lemonades, and teas. That's Traveling Tom's Coffee Truck. Absolutely. And I told Caden and Kale the story about, because you always it's that time when you're trying to pick out what you want to do or where to go, and then people put a lot of emphasis on, well, I'm going to go here because they got this or that, and then I told him the story about when it was Dion's kid. I think it was is it Shakur?
One of the older ones.
The quarterback. What's his name?
Oh, Shadur.
Yeah. Shadur was going to do a college trip.
Yeah.
And then he got offered by Southern Miss. So, of course, Dion takes him, and, Dion has to do it Dion's way. And, of course, he's Dion. He comes in a helicopter and lands, and he meets up with who other than Mr. Southern Miss, Brett Favre. And he's like, hey, man, just when, obviously it was for ESPN or whatever. But anyways, but there was a good message to it because Brett Favre basically said, look, I didn't get a lot of offers. Southern Miss was my only offer. He goes, and I made it work. Yeah. He goes, I don't care where you go. You can go to Slippery Rock University. If you're good enough, they're going to find you. They will find you. And it's even like you're talking about when he played, he was drafted in 92. Yeah. So you're talking about late 80s, early 90s. They didn't have social media. No. They didn't have all this stuff that they have today where you could post on X or Facebook, whatever, Huddle. So he was just like, hey, look, don't think that this is just because you get, and I tell kids all the time, you get one offer, great. Yep. Great. That's awesome.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. You got your foot in the door. Go there and be great.
It's nice to have more to say, 18, 19 and do your count. But at the end of the day, it's about finding the right position or, opportunity for you. And I think sometimes it's, there might have been opportunities to go play at a bigger name or this or that. But at the end of the day, there's guys at every level that are playing on Sundays in football because they took the best of their opportunity and made the most of it.
Look, picking out a university is like going to a car lot and trying to find the best vehicle for yourself. Yeah, everybody wants to have the Maserati or the Mercedes or whatever. Porsche. Yeah, some people are lucky and they can get that. But sometimes you have to take the Honda or the Mitsubishi or the Nissan because in the end you're going to get to the same place that I would in that other car. Yeah. Ultimately, the goal is to get to the same place. Now, whether or not you want to get there in style or whatever. Yeah. But you got what you work with what you have is what I'm getting at. Yeah. And again, sometimes you can lose sight of what's important. Yep. When you have this, have you ever heard of the guy? There's a guy who bought a Ferrari and left it in his garage because he didn't want to drive it. He was afraid somebody might ding it up. Then why'd you buy it? Yeah. Why would you do that? Yeah. I compare those two stories because a lot of people are scared to death to play and get hurt. Yep. But that's like not going to a bowl game. It's going to happen. Because we don't. Yeah, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You have no control over it.
I'm not a fan of the bowl game situations. It's another football game. It's time to strap it. You get to strap it up, man. You get to go play. Well, go do it.
Not only that, think about what if, and I may be completely wrong, but in my own opinion, say you had, this was your last, a lot of people opt out their senior year or junior year, and it happens.
Okay? And I think it's because of the very few times that something bad has happened. Right. So it's hard to. I've never been in the situation, so it's easy to say.
Well, and myself included. I'm just saying, speculating as a spectator.
Mm-hmm.
What if that was the thing that made them, like, someone, you're on the fence about something, and they go, well, and then you had a great bowl game. I mean, I'm talking about you went all out. You were the MVP of, just say, the Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah.
You're the MVP. Don't you think that if somebody's looking at you real hard, your draft status would go up a little bit?
I'd like to think so.
I mean, I would too, but I mean, like I said, I could be completely wrong. And I'm not taking the risk.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like saying, hey, if the old saying, I'll bet you $1 million. If I had $1 million, would I really risk it?
Yeah,
no, but I'm just saying I would if I had it.
Yeah,
I don't have it, but you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's Will Shadur and will Travis Hunter play in a bowl game? Will those level of guys, these top guys, will they do it? I don't know. Probably not. But everybody wants them to.
Right.
But we're also not in the situation. It's easy to say, well, you're on a scholarship. You're there to play for this school. If that school's showing up to play on a Saturday, why are you not dressed out?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're still under, you're under contract to go play for this team.
Right.
And you're just choosing to sit out. That's tough. Bowl games are, like you said, it's still a big deal. But it's either national championship or bust, and there is no playing going on.
Right.
Again, I haven't been in the situation to be a first round draft pick, and I could go break something in this game. So I haven't. It's hard to fault them for it.
Well, yeah, but so say like you said, we talk about not playing a bowl game, but now the playoffs are more attractive. Mm-hmm. Are they going to do that? Are they going to play? Because that's not one bowl game. That's possibly 3-4 games.
Mm-hmm.
If you make it that far.
Mm-hmm.
So are you going to risk that? Do you think there'll be less people risking it? I mean, you're talking about one bowl game.
Yeah, but
where they didn't want to
playoffs or to get to that national championship. These guys, they'll play.
I can see that.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I'm excited for a 12 team. It gets rid of a little bit of the speculation of who shouldn't have been in, who should have been out, because now it's going to have to be proven.
Right,
you're going to get your chance, and it does suck. Like last year, Florida State not getting in. Unfortunately, that wasn't that was a year before. This year, it wouldn't. That speculation's gone.
Yeah,
if you're undefeated, you're Power 5, you're in. Yeah. And even 1-2 loss teams are getting the opportunity.
Right. And
it's get hot at the right time. I mean, it's every sport's that way. Get hot at the right time.
I think when by doing the playoff, and I will have to see because this is the first year, but I think next season, when you lose a game, it's not that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's more. There's this calmness, like you're like, before you're like, oh, we're done, we're done,
Season's over.
Yep, we're done. One game, especially at the end of the year, we're done.
Yep.
But I don't think that will factor in anymore because unless there's 11 or 12 other undefeated teams, which is highly unlikely. But you never know, and that's the thing is somebody said. Earlier in the year, they're like, so what if number 13? I'm like, if 13 can't get in, they don't belong in. Yeah. They're going to go to another game.
I'm waiting for a Cinderella in football. I can't wait. It's probably, it's probably going to be a while, but we're going to get one at some point.
Yeah.
Your UCFs who have a good year, hopefully like a USF sneaks in there and
look at Washington,
win a couple games.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for something like that to happen.
There will be a team that, and again, I'm guilty of it myself. There have been teams that were in the national championship that they have no business being in there, and Notre Dame was one of them. I'm sorry, all the Fighting Irish alumni. I get it. You're a proud Irish fan, but for one, you're not in a conference. You're in an independent conference, which is not even a conference. Makes it hard. And you're talking about going back to old school days. I mean, this is still BCS, and you want to be. It's like back in the day when it always drove me crazy when Miami would get an automatic bid for winning the Big East. First of all, there's nobody in the Big East that would even compare to Miami at the time. Maybe West Virginia, maybe Virginia Tech at the time, but nobody else was would even compare. And they would get an automatic like top 5 bowl. So all you gotta do is win out. And I'm like, you're not even in a great conference, man. This is ridiculous. But I don't know. It's changing, and I think it's for the good. Now, chances are they probably did it for gambling's sake. But anyway, they probably said, you know what? I could just see the panel now. They're like, guys, I was just kind of doing the crunching the numbers, you know what I'm saying? And I think, like, I'm just speculating. But I think we can make tons more money if there's more games.
Yeah, but it's all money. At the end of the day, it's all money. And no, I'm excited. College football is the best time of the year. I don't know who, and I've never really been a big NFL guy. I've always been college. I'll watch any college game, any good college game. It could be a lower level college. I want to watch it. I got Red Zone, so now I'm an NFL guy too. Or I like watching Red Zone on Sundays. But before this year, I was strictly college football, and it's again the best time of the year.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following: Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing wear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kenningston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. I think a lot of people, I've always been NFL. I've always been NFL. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love college football, but I don't love it as much as NFL. And I think it's because of the grade of professionalism. I mean, it's like and this could be a complete, really bad comparison, but it's like, and I know people have to start somewhere, but it's like going to watch a minor league team, versus a professional team, Or, you know what I mean? Like, they've always said, well, I bet if the Seminoles played the Cowboys, they'd beat them. I'm like, the Seminoles, and if you took Georgia's national championship team and Alabama's team, they still couldn't beat the Cowboys.
No, it's a different. It's a different level.
They couldn't beat the Browns.
No, I mean, it's hard. It's easy to say and argue.
Yes,
but you're right. I mean, we saw it the other night. The Panthers almost beat Kansas City. Panthers are the worst team, or one of the worst teams in the NFL, but they're professionals at the end of the day. There's guys that didn't make that team that are super elite athletes, and there's guys that yes, they're not the best, but they can compete with the best at any given moment. Even their worst athletes, the worst athletes in the NFL are still your best guys on a college program, your top guys on a college program.
Yeah, I've always said, there's so many more mistakes in college, obviously, because like I said, it's a different level.
Yep.
But that's the way it is. It's just like if a college team played a high school team, they kill them. And I don't care if it's like Tulane or like Bowling Green, they're going to they'd kill Coco.
Yeah.
They'd run all over the field. Yeah. But that's just the comparison that people try to give. Yeah. Like, that's not even like, dude, that's not even legit. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
Yep. Even that's why I tell people that go to smaller college, I'm like, it's in your mind, you're thinking, this is a small school, it's going to be easy to go in there and play. And then you walk in that locker room like, geez, there's some huge people in there, and why are you here? At this level. And your Kaiser down south is becoming a NAIA juggernaut. They're probably going to win the national championship this year. I'm sure that roster is ridiculous, and those guys are, extremely good football players who will get a lot of those guys will go on to the NFL, at least for practice squad. A lot of those guys will. Well, that goes back to they'll find you.
Yep. They will.
It doesn't matter. There's Division III guys that are Pro Bowlers. There's
right.
If you work hard, the luckier you get.
It's funny you say when we were talking about, we both give two comparisons, but when you talk about finding people, you go back, and I'm just going to use the Cowboys because I know more about the Cowboys than anybody else. But even the Hall of Famer guys that went to school, other than Troy, Emmett, and Michael, they all went to Division I schools. The O-line, Sonoma State, D-line, Leon Lent went to it's out in Kansas. Is that Sonoma State, the one in Kansas? Then they went to Wichita. Then they went to who's the other one? Oh, James Madison.
Yep.
That's where
big time program.
I didn't even know anything about him. That's where Charles Haley went. He went to James Madison.
They kind of got the App State treatment. They were winning too much in Division I AA FCS, and they say, all right, time to get out of here. Which the North Dakota schools get to stay in forever and just run the table in FCS. I've been thinking, these guys aren't FBS. They haven't moved them up yet. I mean, come on. They're producing NFL guys every year. Yep. And they're just keeping them there. Like, nah, North Dakota State, you get to stay and keep winning national championships. App State got kicked out.
Yeah. Well, Caden talked about App State, and he was. I was asking what attracted him to the App State, and he's like, they're just a winning program, and he was right. I mean, I hear so many things about App State. And why wouldn't you go there?
Yeah, and they're destined for an upset. I mean, everybody knows the Michigan, obviously back in the day, but they took Miami, Tennessee to down to the wires a couple years ago. Man, they're just good. I think Caden's going to have a great time there. Hopefully, he has an impact. I think he will early. But that's going to be. I think that's another situation where I think Caden might easily could have been, paired up and went to a bigger school, and got those bigger offers and opportunities. So, I'm going to go play with my brother at Auburn or something. But I don't think that situation, it may have been, but I think the App State is, he's going to thrive, and it's going to give him the best opportunity at the next level is being there. And that's one of the best places to be now.
True. Well, I did ask him. I said, "What's going to happen if App State plays Auburn?"
There's a chance. You'd have to look at the schedule because they'll play at Georgia or somebody every year.
Well, he told me, Kale it was Kale. Kale said, "Well, I know my brother pretty well," and he says, "I probably get into his head." And I'm like, "Oh, we're doing some deep psychological here."
That would be an awesome game to watch and attend.
It would be cool. We were talking about that, the Harbaugh brothers, and they coach against each other, and they just recently had that game. And but two good kids. I mean, it's great to see when you see kids that are doing well. And good things happen. And
that's another set of brothers that I look at like, man, I'm really getting older. Yeah. And I know that I'm not old, but I'm getting older. I remember going over to Matt's house pregame, and he'd, feed us, and them two little boys are running around, and they're, tiny little kids. And now they're, huge men. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, there's no way that's the same kids. It was just 10 years ago. They were, tiny.
They walked in the other day, and I was like, I told Matt, I said, what are you feeding them? Like, they get bigger every time I see them. Yeah. And it's like, they don't go out, they go up. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, and you're talking about kids that are respectful. Like, you have kids that they don't come across like I'm better than you or I'm better than anybody else. They talk about hard work, and that's the mentality. That way. That's the mentality that you have to have.
Yeah. it seems that way, and I wish we had them. But
yeah, no, I know that's. I would always, jokingly ask them, like, when are y'all moving back down here? When are you gonna? And they're like, oh, we're not. I'm like, I'm just kidding,
Yeah.
But people go and they do things well, and I mean, I'm glad that their high school got to have them, and
yep.
They'll
be Cass boys forever now. And it seems like that's an awesome program.
Yeah.
I mean, there's good programs everywhere. But it just obviously we feel differently, and we feel that we've got the best situation here. And I know that we've never necessarily went over the hump to win the big game.
Yep.
But it speaks volumes to be in the Final Four at the championship game.
Yes.
And it meant more to me because I had opportunities to go play at other high schools for, basketball, where I'm approached to say, hey, we want you to come play with us.
Right.
And my response was always, I enjoy winning football games too much to come play basketball for you. And my biggest thing was, I would rather go winless and play with guys that I played Pop Warner with, and we grew up together, than to go play for another school whose quarterback is getting flown in from New York, who you don't even know.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not a program. That's not a high school. There's no sentimental value there. When you're playing, and then the years that we are lucky enough to go deep, we're playing with dads and uncles. Our dads and uncles play together. Our grandparents played here, and we're competing with Jacksonville Bulls. Yeah, we're not beating them often, but we've beat them, and we're playing with kids that are from right here, not from kids all over. True. We didn't have to create a team to compete. Right. We're playing with South Central Wolfpack guys.
These are our kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after football is all said and done, so what did you major in? What did you get?
Business.
Business.
I think businesses. So the school I went to was extremely hard. It was, I think it was, it's the top academic school in the state of Arkansas. So you're either very obviously an athlete, or you're a kid that goes to school there, and then you can point them out quick. I mean, there's some very smart people that goes to that school.
Right.
So business was probably my easiest option. So I signed up for that pretty quick. Minor in physical education. So just do whatever I need to do to get through.
You never know.
So because there was a point in time where I always thought, I wanted to be a PE coach and coach and go that route. And kind of wanted to try something else, and so I went to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which I interned with them, and that was just, we had to have an internship or something, and I wanted to get a paid internship, obviously, so I applied to hundreds of internships. And if anybody knows anything about Enterprise, they like athletes, so they gave me a chance to come on as an intern in the summer. I went back for my senior year, and I graduated in December. Mm-hmm. So I played that year, graduated in December, and Enterprise like, hey, I didn't necessarily want to go back there, but hey, well, you can start tomorrow, the day after I left school.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm ready to get to work.
Yeah.
So worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Learned a lot there. I think 6 months probably I was there, and I was applying to leave ever since I started there. But I knew that I didn't want to be there. I was just using it as a stepping stone, a resume builder per se.
Right.
And I met some guys that were in roofing, and never a million years think that I'd be in, the roofing industry, commercial roofing industry, specifically. So big flat Walmart roofs, stuff like that. And I hit it off with them, and I said, look, I don't have, experience and this and that. I said, look, we don't care. We're going to take you under our wing, and we're going to teach you. And I covered 5 states in a pickup truck, and was rarely home, but a lot of experience, a really good job to get at 22, 23 years old.
Right.
And eating really good, put on some weight. Always eating out because I was on the road, and they're going to pay for a steak dinner every night. I'm gonna go sit down and drink or eat it and have a couple drinks. And being in a pickup truck, felt cool, but I knew that I wanted to get out of I knew I wanted to leave that situation at some point. If I was still there, I'd probably still be working for them. But the moment that I do decide to have kids or something, and I missed a single t-ball practice, done. I'm going to do something else. So got into the roofing industry and in Memphis. So we lived in Memphis, which kind of goes back to why I'm a Grizzlies fan. So that was John Morant was coming into the league, and we went to a ton of games. And being my wife's a basketball player, we're big basketball fans. We went to a lot of games, and it just transitioned. All right, I'm a Grizzlies fan. So spent time in Memphis. Loved it there, and then we decided to move to St. Pete, closer to Florida, and my wife's family's still in Little Rock, so it was tough and it was a hard move to do. And now that we're here, like I said, love it. We love St. Pete. We love being here. Florida is awesome. Something about sunshine and no snow. Take it for granted for sure. It's kind of cold right now, but it's not snowing.
Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Penosofsky's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and pub. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app. Well, I was going to say you made that transition back when you said you're FaceTiming mom and dad and Stacy and said, hey, this is what you're doing, this is what I'm doing, and now you're back to the sunshine. Yeah,
and it's great. I love it. I told her, my wife, the other day, I was like, I don't know what jackets I own anymore. I mean, we've got a bin just with jackets in it, and we've had a ton of jackets because we lived in the cold for 8 years, or I did. So I'm like, I don't know what jackets I even own. I'm like digging through there, trying to find jackets to put on.
Right. I think I had 3 jackets my entire life. That I can remember wearing. I'm like, yeah, that was during the elementary years. Middle school, and then the high school, I think I had a jacket. That's about it. I think I wore that jacket for years after that.
Go put your jacket on.
Yeah. So, gosh, you had an interesting career, man. I mean, transition, a journey, I would say. Mm-hmm. It's cool to go from, we talked about this earlier, like you go from Bushnell to a university, and a lot of kids get scared because they don't know. Again, it's the unknown.
It's very hard.
Oh my gosh, I'm up here by myself. Mm-hmm. Now, myself, I love that stuff. Yeah, because it's a clean slate, bro. Yeah, like when I went to Orlando and I worked at Disney, I left. I got a job a week after graduating. Mm-hmm. Those people didn't know who I was. Mm-hmm. So I could start over. Mm-hmm. I could start over. I would go over there and I made a life over there. Yeah. Now I came back, so people have kind of forgotten the stuff I did when I was a kid, and now I got to get away from the people in Orlando. And go, I remember when that time, Billy. I'm like, shut, be quiet. Don't tell my wife that. Yeah. Don't do that. So it comes full circle. Yeah. But you eventually, it's good to be able to come home. Yeah. And I never thought in a million years I'd live in Bushnell. Yeah. I lived between Webster and Center Hill my entire life. Yeah. And moved over here a couple years ago, and no regrets.
I always thought opposite. I always thought I was going to go out, enjoy my time, see a different area, be in a different place, and grow in a different setting, and then come back and live here, and coach and teach. And that's what I always had drawn in my head. Yep. And it's crazy that, the paths that, as long as you're just open to change, where it can take you. And sometimes it might be, you might make bad decisions at times, and you might take a leap of faith and it might not work out. But it's crazy to see, kind of where I've settled. Like I said, never in a million years would think I'd be now selling roofing materials to contractors, and never thought that roofing was in my future by any means. Usually you kind of, somebody that's done it, or your dad's been in it, and that's kind of how you get into something. And So to go just totally left from coaching and teaching,
right?
Very unexpected, but I enjoy it a lot. I don't see myself getting out of it.
Right. Well, use those years that you like I said, during your journey, use those years as a teaching, not only for yourself, but when you do have kids, you can give different scenarios and examples of like, hey, don't do this because one time I did this. Now, they still have to make their decision on their own. They have to make their choice, but it always helps, like, to do it first. You know what I'm saying? Like Jace, my son, I said something to him one time, and he says, "Well, how do you know that?" And I said, "Because I did it. Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, and it wasn't,
it's hard to listen though.
It is. It's again easier to say, and than to do. Yeah. So I mean, you can say, hey, don't do this, or hey, whether you want to admit it or not, mom and dad were always right. Yep. They were right.
Absolutely.
But you had that young ambition. You're like, you know what? No, let me, sometimes you got to do things on your own. Yep. And you tend to forget that. And I've always said I wouldn't change my life one way. Even the ups and downs, the good, everything. I wouldn't change it. Things happen for a reason, and that's what makes it life.
Things happen for a reason. Alice and I would joke and say, and it's quite literally true that we would not be together or married or would have never met if Xavier didn't break his leg. Yep. I mean, that's extremely true. Right. If that ever happened to him, I would have never been at Lyon College. Absolutely. And everything happens for a reason. Yep. And sometimes good, sometimes it's bad, but you keep pushing. That's what we do. And I think that that's been instilled in a lot of people in this community. Keep it pushing. I think that our community, the kids, the toughness, that stuff is second to none. Yep. Going into programs and just seeing kids lay on the field and sit out and do stuff like that, and I'm thinking, I don't know where this kid grew up, but that wouldn't fly.
Exactly.
At Bushnell, that would not fly. Right.
I know you've already noticed this, but as you get older, you come to a realization that where we live here is not as bad as we thought it was.
No, not at all.
And it's a lot better than we made it out to be. I can't think of a better place to raise your kids. For anyone to raise their kids. It always would throw me off when I'd ask, when I was a substitute teacher at school, and a new kid would come and they're like, "Hey, you got a new kid, this is so and so," and I'm like, the first thing I asked them was, "How did you get here?" And I'm like, "What?" And then follow it up with why. Yeah. Like what do you mean? Yeah. Well, my dad works at the prison. My mom's at the prison. My dad works here. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, out of all,
there's not much places to bring people here.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I went to Orlando, because I said, here I am trying to make a decision for myself and what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I knew I wasn't going to go to college. I just couldn't do it. Yeah. At the time, I've been thinking about doing some classes here and there and getting my degree. But at that point in life, no way. I just got out of high school. Yeah. I'm not going to go and do it again. Now I know why you do it while you're young, because you really don't have a care. Yep. But at that point, I did care. I'm like, I'm not going back to a classroom for another 4 years. I just got out.
Yeah. School was the toughest part. I wish I was at a bigger school where they would do your homework for you, but being at school, I was never a big fan of school. Yeah. I was just always do enough to pass. Yep.
That was mine. Mine was do enough to get a C. Yeah. That was
my college. High school, I was an honor student. Don't get it twisted, but college was different. I'm like, you had to put in more effort in college, and school was not fun enough to put effort in.
Well, and when I was a sub, I made a point to myself. I said, you need to really stress how important it is to go to school, and not just that. See, they kept pushing the school down your throat. School. What about trade school? Nobody told me about trade school. Nobody told me that I could go and do a hands-on job. That's what I wanted. I didn't want to. I hate paper and pencil. I hate writing down stuff and coming up with, sitting there listening to a lecture. I want to learn I'm a physical, like I have to see. Yeah. With touch it. Mm-hmm. That's why, I want to be a cook.
Oh yeah.
Actually. So I want to be get into culinary. And then I come to this idea, like, do I really want to cook for the rest of my life? Like, I've got to do it 3 times a day already. So, I
just get HelloFresh, Factor meals or whatever.
HelloFresh was not a thing at that time. You either learned how to do it or you didn't do it at all, or you just went back to mom and dad's.
Uber Eats, which is probably not a thing here. I don't know.
No, Uber Eats it's slowly coming into play, but oh my gosh, the things I could have. I'm like, man, I wish I would have. I think
they're pushing more. And understanding more that college isn't the route for everybody. Right. You can still go make a ton of money and be extremely successful doing something else. And trust me, I see it. And a lot of friends of mine there that are doing really well, man, they have to go to college. Right. But I wouldn't do their job either. They make good money, but it's not for me. I don't want to do that. Absolutely. And it's what you want to do.
Well, I think that's the trade-off is you need to figure out what you want to do first. I'm 42 years old. I still don't know what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-mm. But I guess it's better than I guess it's better to be indecisive than go gung ho, guns blazing. I'm gonna be an elementary school teacher, and then you know how many times this happens? People get in the classroom and they go, "Oh my God, this sucks."
Yeah. They should get paid more.
Hello.
Yeah.
Did you not read the brochure when it said elementary educator?
Yeah.
Did you think you were going to work with sea lions or something? This is not SeaWorld. What am I doing?
They're not. Yeah, they're not all perfect little angels either.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then you're looking at something. You got to do this for 30 years.
Yeah.
No way. That's why I'm saying. That's why, I not only push the point that college is important, make sure it's what you want to do. Yep. There's a lot of people that want to do things for other people.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to college for my mom and dad. Do you really want to go to college though?
Yeah.
Again,
to become a truck driver.
Yeah. That community is not coming with you to the naval base or wherever you're going. You have to go to class. You got to do it yourself. You got to get up in the morning. You got to do it your own self.
The thing is, you don't need a college degree anymore.
No.
To be
really.
It's everybody's. A lot of people's got them now, but there's jobs that if you want these jobs, then you have to have a degree. So there's the time that it's a must. But not really. There's so many options out there. I think that our community is doing good. It seems like it now for sure with all the different ag co-ops and all this different programs for different outlets. It's exciting to see just changes here too. Yeah. Overall, we've got beautiful facilities, beautiful program. People that leave here, I think, are crazy to go somewhere else. I can go play for the green school and then it'd be cool or whatever that may be, or I'm gonna get more playing time. Yeah. But it's like you're gonna look back and you're gonna regret that decision. I hate to say it, but you are, because it doesn't mean the same.
No,
No,
you're not gonna get the full the full program. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be just whatever you're gonna be.
Yeah.
But you're never gonna have something that's just like this.
Yeah.
They may do their own thing, but I know what we do, and it's special.
Yeah, it's rare.
It's very rare.
Again, we don't have the championships and whatever that people want to stress.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's not even about that. It really isn't. We all want it.
Right.
And nobody goes to battle or shows up on Friday night not wanting that.
Right.
And I think with the new structure of high school playoffs and stuff, I think that there's years that we would have won in this new structure where we wouldn't have to go play these, the big private schools in the big cities.
Right.
So I think that we would have more we would have a couple state championships. And I think that they're going to come as well because of this new structure. I think our time's going to come, and everybody, I would love to be this year because, the names and the team that we had was, probably one of the most athletic teams we've ever had. And, we all felt, everybody knows that, we fell short, but it is what it is. You keep pushing. And I think that this is, it's all part of our program. We're not going to be in the finals. We're not going to have Thanksgiving practice every year, but it means something different to wear red and black.
Right. And I think say we do well next year and we have Thanksgiving practice, it's going to mean a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because we can go back and go, guys, last year we didn't even do this.
Yeah.
We got snubbed. They wouldn't let us in the playoffs. And so I think it's a great thing to build on, and I think we're going to be just fine. As far as talent is wise, I think we'll have some young kids, but every year can't be a powerhouse. You can't have you can't have your per se, this is the best class that we've had in a while. It doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
So when it does happen, we need to take advantage. But it is what it is, like you said, and you can only go forward. You can't go backwards. Although I do love to talk about the good old days.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why they call it the good old days.
Yeah, they're fun. And playing, I've talked to many people that have played at a higher level. It just doesn't, it's not the same. When you put on that helmet and you run out, even in front of 60, 70, 90,000 people, it just doesn't feel the exact same as it does to run out there on a Friday night and look into the stands and you can name 80% of the people, whereas you're playing in front of your parents might be watching on TV, or they might be there for the game, or if you're lucky, but you're playing with a bunch of guys that coming from all different backgrounds, and you're playing in front of people who you don't know who the heck they are, and they didn't play there. Their uncle. You're not playing with your cousins, and so it's although that's cool and it seems all fun, it's not the same as playing on Friday nights, and I think everybody will agree with that. And that's why high school got to take advantage of it, because it really is the glory days of athletics. Because again, it's the people you're with and the people you're playing for and around that really make it that special. Yep.
Enjoy every single moment. Don't leave nothing for granted. They always say leave it all on the field. That's what we try to tell our kids that all the time. Hey, play like there's no tomorrow.
Yep.
And again, the most simple things are the most that hit the hardest. What I mean? Well, Reace, I appreciate you coming over, man. Taking the time out of your schedule, holiday schedule, making it over here, and I'm glad it worked out. I've been I'm the self promoter. I gotta bug everybody. I wish I had an assistant that would do that for me, but I have that responsibility to try to find everybody and have them come over. But I just want to make sure everybody, understands what our program means, and to highlight our athletes that are alumni and future and present athletes. So I appreciate you coming over, and we'll have to do this again. And
it's a special place to be, and I appreciate having me again. Special place to be. Love talking good old days. And hopefully we'll have some. I love sitting around talking about the good old days, and hopefully in 10 years that we'll be talking about these teams that we have coming on, because I think we're gonna get us one day, and I think that it's gonna mean more to the community and the alumni than anything. It's gonna feel like we did it as a whole. And I think that hopefully I'll see it in my lifetime, because I'll be front and row and center for it. But thanks again, Billy.
Yeah, man. Well, guys, that's all we got time for today. Appreciate you tuning in, and I want to thank our sponsors. Without their help, this is not possible. So thank you again. If you haven't liked or subscribed or followed on Spotify, Facebook, or YouTube, that is greatly appreciated as well. So until next time, we'll see you guys. Bye, everybody.